Hi. I just want the public to see this film. Even though I am an HOC Section 8 participant, there are rules that the owner or landlord is supposed to go by under the 24 Code Federal Regulations. Um, that is different from a regular tenant. However, in the state of Maryland, they do not recognize federal code. That's an issue because of the fact he signed a contract, well, the landlord signed a contract with me to uphold the code of federal regulations as well as HOC, which is the PHA in Montgomery County. That I may have the right to exercise any right and remedy against the owner under the lease between the tenant and the owner. However, I did receive a letter from HOC that they're going to take my voucher away because I'm exercising my right with the owner and my right to have a decent, safe, and sanitary dwelling. As you look at this film, you can see that HOC on February the 1st, 2012, so some concern about what's going on, but by letter and behind closed doors, they fabricated. Their attorney sent me a letter 6/11/12, fabricating and threatening me because I was exercising my right. And I'm very upset with that. There's more to come after this, but watch this film and you could judge for yourself. Thank you.
Sarah Goody? Yes, Goody, can you please come up?
Hi everybody.
Hi, how are you? Can you tell us who you are and where you live?
Okay, my name is Marcina Good and I just relocated down here in Maryland for approximately 2 years. I live at Cinnamon Run Apartments.
Oh, okay, Cinnamon Run, okay.
Right, my history
That's
is...
off Mill Road. No, it's...
Right, you're
yeah.
right, yes. I would like to say congratulations, welcome aboard, okay. I would like to thank the Resident Advisory Board for allowing me to come to your meeting.
Please have a seat, please have a seat.
And I have spoken to Ms. Banks as well on the phone, and thank you for taking your time out and speaking with me. My history is I used to be a commissioner. I was a housing advocate in Atlantic City, New Jersey. You might say, some people might think that I was a troublemaker or whatever, but I would just advocate for my rights as a resident under the housing, HUD housing. But anyway, the reason why I'm here, first of all, I've been down here for 2 years, so it took me a long time to get here because, like the gentleman was saying, y'all meetings is at 4 o'clock. And I work for a temp agency, and when they call me to work, I'm going to work, okay? So I kind of like laid off from coming here, but I'm not like coming here all the time. You know, I just wanted to find out the information, the way to do things down here as far as being a resident. The gentleman was saying also about being on the program for an amount of time. I have been on the program for an amount of time. I just enrolled into a master's degree program at Liberty University, and I'm hoping one day to capture that American dream to get a job, a steady job as well. So, I am thankful for being on the program, but again, I want to be off too. So, I did talk to Mr. Doug Ryan about some information as far as the Section 8 admin plan and also the 5-year plan and Section 3. I'm very interested in Section 3. I kind of looked on the website, but I probably overlooked some things, so I kind of need help to steer for that information. What brought me here tonight really is that my landlord. But I did call the inspector. They did fill my apartment. They're supposed to be fixing on it now, but it shouldn't have took as long as it did. You know, it made me very upset. And I just thought about protesting like I did in New Jersey, but I didn't want to bring it down here. I was going to cool out. So it made me upset because, you know, I pay my rent. Even though I pay a portion of it, I feel like, you know, if the ceiling is falling and I got ants crawling through my ceiling on my my bed. Come on, can you fix it? You know, I shouldn't have to go through what I went through as far as getting things fixed. I do know that Montgomery County is a big county, bigger than Atlanta City. And my issue was I couldn't gain information like a normal small place, because this is a big place. But y'all do, I would just like to say, the gentleman was talking about having a landlord advisory meeting. That is important for Section 8 voucher petition. For participants, because we all spread it out. And sometimes we don't know our rights. You know, I happen to know because I was, you know, a landlord tenant affair board member. I was a commissioner. I also was a part of the national organization. I meet with Sean Donovan yearly, and a part of NARO as well. But I have been meeting a lot of residents that don't even know about HOC, don't even know about nothing. So after I got some of the information from the RAB, I took it back to the residents there. I mean, I'm just saying to the board that, you know, we don't know the information. Don't think that if you don't hear complaints that people know exactly what to do. You know, it's kind of hard. And the RAB, like I told them, they should have subcommittees because, you know, they over, you know, they can do but so much. But I'm just here to help. I'm not here looking for a title. I'm actually looking for a job, but a better job, a better position in my life. But thanks for taking your time.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming here.
Okay.
Let me ask, I guess, Joy, Cinnamon Run, we don't manage Cinnamon Run. No, because I remember Cinnamon Run, they're opting out of the project-based Section 8, no?
Cinnamon Run is a very large property, and there are some tenant-based vouchers.
Tenant-based, yeah.
And Mercedes lives in Cinnamon Run with a tenant-based voucher. 68 of their units are under a HUD contract, and they're opting out, they will have vouchers. But we have no landlord responsibilities there other than to make sure they adhere to their...
So what's going to happen when they opt out? Like, for example, for Mercedes, she will get an enhanced voucher? Or?
Mercedes is in a tenant-based voucher at Cinnamon Run, so she's considered...
Oh, she won't be affected.
Nothing will have affect her. The 68 families are now dealing directly with HUD and Cinnamon Run. They will now have vouchers to either stay or go.
Okay.
So, but we don't have, I mean, we have a management responsibility to make sure that the landlord is doing what they're supposed to do and that the units pass inspection and the families are there, and that's a very serious relationship. But we're not part of the management team at Cinnamon Run.
But we do an inspection of the units.
We do the inspection.
He did, I just want to say, HOC did fail the inspection.
Okay.
He did fail it, and gave them the time limit 25 days. So they are doing their part.
They are, okay. And the management is doing their part too?
No,
Okay.
HOC.
So we have to go out and re-inspect.
We have to re-inspect, and we eventually have to hold Cinnamon Run to their responsibilities.
Yeah.
So, you know, there are management teams or there's property managers who do the right thing and fix the units and keep them in repair and go forward. And there are the landlords or the property managers who do a quasi-right thing and fix the properties and so on and so forth. And what Mercedes is saying is a Section 8 housing choice voucher participant, how are we holding those landlords responsible? Because we won't go out again for another year to inspect once it passes unless she calls us.
Okay.
And then, would you please let the board know about how they fixing the place up, because it's a terrible thing to live with rats and roaches. So I would like to hear better things.
We can give you a report of, we can do a study or a review of some large landlords and see how many units fail and when they're fixed, and go back and do quality control testing and give you an idea of where we are and what landlords are very good and what landlords are mediocre and where we need more attention.
But landlords wouldn't have any incentive to treat voucher holders differently.
No, other than they get their rent on time and
From the voucher holder.
From us. Yes.
Right.
Yes, and many landlords, have lots of issues because in the very beginning we're paper intensive. After the first go around, we're like clockwork and we do inspect.
Is Mercedes' issue that perhaps landlords take advantage of our residents, because voucher holders, because they assume they don't know how?
It's very possible. possible, you know, the hope would be, the answer, the hope would be no, but yes, it's very possible that they know that this is a low-income family and that the HOC is at arm's distance. And so she comes, Mercedes, just like others, comes to us, and if the inspection and the unit continues to have a problem, we will then meet with the landlord and talk to them, and then we have to say to the families, move. And if it's a huge problem or even a small problem and a continuous problem, then we would have to then go to the executive director. HOC has only done this once, and ask to meet with that landlord and decide whether or not we continue to do business with them.
And do we have any systemic way of identifying this as a problem?
Sure, we can, and we can and we will, particularly in multifamily units and landlords with a large population of voucher holders. Look to see how many of their units fail the first time, and then how many fail the second time and go into abatement. And then at that point in time, look to see if it's a systemic problem and what we have to do about it.
Is that something that you do, or you just
We have
can't?
not done that in a while, so we would have to look at it now. And it's a very good suggestion for us to know.
Yeah, I think we should.
Who owns this property?
Cinnamon Run, you know, in my mind, I just want to, and I apologize, I just want to say Cinnamon Run.
It's home property.
Home properties.
Home properties?
Yeah. And it's huge, and Cinnamon Run is huge, and it's old. Right. You know, they're old units, you know, to digress, I have somebody who's calling from another partner who, we can't seem to abate cockroaches.
I think,
You know, it's just,
if you want to really find out what's going on, I think it'd be wise, like you did 7 years ago when you met with the tenants at that school.
do the town hall meetings again.
And they
for voucher holders.
express what was going on. You cannot go to the man you're giving money to
That's right.
and say, expect him to say everything's bad. He's going to tell you everything is wonderful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if you meet with the resident and let them tell you just what's going on, because I went to something like that same problem, and I had to really let them know that I went to the office and I asked the lady, I said, why is it folks walking around my house that's not paying rent? And I told her it's the rats. And she thought it was funny, but I didn't think it was funny.
No, not at all.
But HOC didn't know. So I think you should meet with the residents and let them express themselves. I'm telling you, it's a lot to say.
Yes,
So I think-
and we should work, we haven't had town hall meetings, and I think the last one we had was where we met in the 4 regions of Montgomery County, and one of each of you were there. It was
Yeah.
about 4 years ago when we had town hall meetings. So I will bring it up with Mr. Span and we'll take care of it.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think it would be a good idea.
Okay.
Particularly in Cinnamon Run, because they're opting out. I think, you know, the project base, I think the residents might be a little bit concerned. They may not understand what opting out, you know, either
Well,
an increase.
the 68, Mr. Pinero, that are opting out, we're meeting with them this week and next week, so they will be well educated on their choices of leaving or staying.
Okay.
For Mercedes, hers is she has a tenant-based voucher living there now, so she signed a lease, and it might be a new lease or it might be a month-to-month. She has to decide whether to move from that unit if we cannot get Cinnamon Run or Home Properties to do what they should, or hold them to their responsibilities.
Are we allowed to have a penalty of any sort if they don't, you know, you have 25 days to cure and...
Now, this is what Mr. Single, excuse me for interrupting, this is what Mr. Single was saying. If the unit is inspected, as Mercedes has said, the unit is inspected and we failed the unit, it's 30 days or 25 days, we go back. If the unit fails for landlord lack of repairs, it's abated, and there's no HAP. They receive no subsidy at that point in time. And they cannot evict the family for us not paying because they're basically not meeting their contract obligation. If after 30 days the family still remains in there and the owner has not made his repairs, the family is then asked to come in to get a voucher to move. Because we don't want them there, it's not getting better, it's time for them to go. But we give the landlord 30 days to make his repairs. The only time that it's more than 30 days is if it's a seasonal thing. Now, some things are also 24 hours. They don't have 24 hours
For
to make those
emergency.
repairs, and then they're abated as well. And that's not a carrot and a stick, that's just fact. That's what they have to do.
And then when you give a certificate to a tenant and tell them a certain amount of time to move out, how much time you give?
Well, if a family is forced to move from a unit, there's no time left. I mean, we try to work with a 90-day period, but because they're already a voucher holder, we'll keep that, they're not in harm's way of losing their assistance. They can have it for as long as they need it, because they're probably still living in a unit or they've moved to a shelter. And the housing locator will work with the family to help them find something if they're in a bad situation. But there's no time limit to it.
It sounds good.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Grudy. Thank you for coming, and thank you. Keep us informed, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think we're done, so we can move into a second section for the third one.
According to Section 10508A3 of the State Government Articles of the Annotated Code of the State of Maryland, this, I believe it would be a land acquisition.
It's going to be more like personnel
Okay.
or land, yeah.
Matter can be discussed in closed session. I therefore move to adjourn to executive session.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we got over here.